Hello, because I keep on saying good evening, good evening, good evening. Today, let me just say hello to you, someone who's watching my video right now. Okay. I must be getting old. I'll tell you why I think I must be getting old. Other than that, officially good evening. My name is Tumi Tladi. If you are new, this is the first video that you are watching of mine. Please like, comment, subscribe if you find this material to be useful, and please tell everyone about this material, because this material, it's good stuff. The content on this channel, it's good stuff. I would like to advise you to go to my previous videos to understand how I ended up where I am today, and what I'm gonna be doing today. Yeah, because I do this thing, since I'm currently busy with a series right now. So good evening. Today is Sunday evening, the 13th of June 2021. Time is 7:24 p.m. Today I'm early. I will start around 6:30, because I do get exhausted. I am exhausted generally, but I also want my time to watch series. I missed watching 4 to 5 series or episodes of different series. So yeah, other than that, the reason why I'm saying I must be getting old, but am I really getting old? No. Let's see something. Am I? No. Okay, this website is ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET framework. I want to check something if I'm getting old. Where's the about page? Am I? Also, let's see. Am I really getting old? Also, I know GitHub won't lie. GitHub.com, Edward McFlurry. Let's see. Does this guy look like he's getting old? Does he though? Does he? No. I don't think he looks like he's getting old. Okay, never mind. Does this handsome young man here looks like he's getting old? Okay, the reason why I'm saying I'm getting old, what was the main reason again? Okay, I forgot. Oh, I know actually why. So before I go through what I'm about to do today, I have my Visual Studio 2019 ready. Let's go back. There's a project, api.identicaldocs.co.za. Okay, I don't know how many videos where I said this project is Web API targeting.NET framework. That wasn't true, and it's not true. This is 2-in-1 because the project itself is 2-in-1. It's ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Web API. We just did the previous videos in the solution breaking down project structure. So then it just hit me because today I'm going to focus on ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET Core. That, okay, if I've been saying that this website is the MVC and then this one is Web API, actually I have been lying. This is Web API for .NET Core, targeting.NET Core. This is still is 2-in-1 because I remember saying, I believe yesterday, that if I make changes to Web API, this guy is not affected. If I make changes to MVC, this guy is not affected. In fact, that wasn't true. Hence I'm saying I must be getting old. Okay, so I would just want to clarify that this API, it's a Web API, ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET Core. It's what I'm going to be focusing on today. The one that it's already built in. It doesn't have its own independent domain or subdomain. It's already built in. Okay. Like I said, if this is the first video that you're watching of mine, please like, comment, and then speaking of the comment, if you like me to show you something specifically, you just have to use hashtag request. Your request has to be in capital letters. Tell me which platform or which app you would like me to focus on, and then what to do exactly there. And then also tell me that like I said, what you would like me to show you, and then I will show you in the context of identical dogs. Please do not ask me to go and do research and I have to Google. No, in the context of this system. Thank you. Now let's get the party started. So yesterday I did ASP.NET MVC targeting.NET Core. Today I'm gonna do ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET Core. So let's set this as a startup project. And by the way, this is a new IDE. It's a new updated version, or should I say updated, whichever one. You see now my English wants to run out of airtime and it's too early. And then I was doing some work. I love what they did with the version control system here. I really actually love what they did, because I just made some few changes push to the server. I just did something, and currently I'm on the master branch. So this guy used to have some sort of drop downs previously. When you click, you will see option like context menu. Now you don't have to do that. So I want to go back to YouTube branch, and so now they made it easy. So yeah, they have rewritten so many things, and I love it. It's flexible now, and that's Microsoft. I think Microsoft really, it is what it is because of the community, the voice of many people, through the feedbacks and everything, and I really love that. Okay, so to show you that I was doing something, and then this is a series I'm very excited about. So let's just do this. Right click, mesh into current branch. Yes, because I need to keep every branch I go to updated with what's in the master branch, and then you see that it's pulling some few changes that I just made because I just did something. Okay, right now I don't think I'm gonna be long. So that I have ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET framework. That's the same project that the mobile application is making use of, this one, right? So now this one is an upgraded version. So it's me showcasing that I can still build a different piece of technology targeting a different technology altogether, meaning that I can build Web API targeting.NET Core. So I'm sorry, but the mobile app knows this address, not this one like I have been saying previously. So I hope I can fix that. Okay, so this one is for .NET Core. So we know we have only one mobile application. I did test this extensively. I will show in my next video that what's happening in Xamarin. I'll go to the services, and then I will show you the URL, the actual URL where it's pointing. So I'm able to test with Web API targeting.NET framework and also Web API targeting.NET Core. So yeah, there we go. So this is what you do before you do any work, before you do any changes. Like I said, I will do this. Sometimes I'll do this in live, but for now I just need to make some changes separately on the side. Let's get the party started, shall we? Okay, so first and foremost, there isn't much to cover here, but there are critical things to cover here. So and some of the version control stuff now they're showing off. Okay, so properties. So assembly name is identical dogs underscore core underscore MVC. So that's my naming convention that I use to name my project. Like I said, I'm a very clean developer or a clean programmer. I don't do things by the way. You see now the problem with Microsoft when they do stuff, since when do this thing say, or does this thing say waiting for intelligence to finish initialization? Since when? You see now? Like this is properties for a project. Why do I have to see this now? Microsoft, I'll write the feedback now and tell them that you see now, Now you're playing games. Come on. Because it's not going to take too long. Why? And the Visual Studio is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, this is a huge IDE. I don't like Android Studio. In fact, let me be honest, I hate Android Studio. It's so complicated and unnecessarily. And then the syntax for Java. I never even bothered to want to learn Kotlin. And now I just realized something when it comes to Flutter, because I'm working close with the CUT third year IT students. So they're doing Flutter. It's a new thing they're doing. I just realized it last week that Flutter, in fact, a platform specific code for Android, it's Kotlin, like the programming language, and then a specific code for iOS, it's Swift. So I still have to ask this question: does this imply that when you do a platform specific code in Flutter, because obviously you build for all these platforms, but does it mean that when you do platform specific code, you're gonna have to know Kotlin? You're gonna have to know Swift? Like, seriously, under the hood? Huh? But we'll talk about the Xamarin in the next video. Okay, why is this thing taking too long? Because I know it's writing some access to file disk and all that. Come on. So these are very interesting stuff that we learn along the way. So to be honest, I'm not a fan of Java, Android, and then now Flutter is just something I hate. Widget tree, or should I say, I don't know, whatever you call, but it's some sort of a tree for Flutter. I don't know who came up with that insanity. Can I be honest? That stupidity, like, it doesn't make sense. It's not clean. You can't even see the variables. Like, you don't even know what's happening. You know, when Microsoft did MVC, having code inside the views, they did so clean. Like, you can tell based on everything, having TeleSense to help you out that this is a code and then this is the HTML goodness. But okay, let me keep quiet. So it's targeting .NET 5.0. It's the most important thing that we need to know. Wait. No. This is what we're looking for. This is what we should be focusing on. Good. Yes. Now it's Web API targeting .NET 5.0. Good. Now, let's see the juicy stuff in here. I'll talk about this folder and why it's marked X later on. So app settings.json, it's a sensitive file. I'm going to use Azure Key Vault to deploy this to Azure App Services soon. And I'm going to use Azure Key Vault to deal with credentials. Now, program.cs, I'm just going to move very quick. Please go and research what connected services is or what happens there. Okay, so this is where the application starts. So yeah, and then it's gonna start there. It's gonna use startup, which is startup class. Do not rename this class, by the way. Let me just give you a tip. Do not rename this class. Do not be like, I don't know, a genius. I know you're a genius, but do not rename this class. There's a reason why it's written startup. Okay, so like I said, please find out what's happening here. So dependencies, again, like we've been doing with other projects. I don't know what analyzers, what they do, but I assume that as you add some of the NuGet packages, they get to be registered or they get to assign themselves as analyzers. Frameworks, yeah, these projects targeting that framework, .NET Core, NSP.NET Core. And then we have project. Now it's making use of DAL. Let's see. Yes, Identical Docs Core DAL, that's the project. And packages, these are all the NuGet packages that were added. We have AutoMapper, we have Fluent Validation. I never do right now because I told myself I never do any web API type of programming without Fluent Validation, and it is a very huge thing. I'll do that once, as soon as I start breaking down the NuGet packages. It's also service, and now I'm gonna go with I'm also gonna add AutoMapper to a list of to-dos, and then Swagger also. I'm not gonna leave it behind. Okay, so we are done there. So now startup.cs file. Also, I did the same thing I did in MVC, SP.NET MVC, targeting.NET Core, where I have only one line of code that will handle all the services that will need to be configured. Okay, and then to be honest, it's very rare when you see unnecessary using statements. I hate them. I really hate them. I also like to use comments, and I like to have some space between the properties and constructor, and I keep it like this, like for it to be readable. And then these are methods. Sorry. So yeah, so I'll come to this again. I still haven't looked at this guy's name when he said there's a better way of doing this, and then we did show that on this project, but also in Web API to make it clean. Because like I said, I'm a clean developer. And when it comes to configuring the pipeline, as I believe, so this is how we register Swagger, and I'll do Swagger and later on. That's a very good question. Tim Corey taught me that this is very interesting. Remember, I'm saying I'm teaching somebody who has some sort of idea, because there are best practices, there are things that you can learn from people like us, geniuses. Tim Corey, when the first time I saw Web API Swagger, in Web API, he said you should disable access to Swagger. So let me show how. So if I go to Swagger config, this is ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET framework. He said by just commenting out this line, it's not gonna be accessible. Like Swagger is not gonna be accessible. So in production, let's prove that. This one, if usually when I do Swagger, it should be able to pick it up, but now this is production because it's disabled, so you won't be rerouted to Swagger. But locally, when I debug a certain endpoint, when I do something, when I add something, I comment out the code. You see, it's redirecting to 404. This is not Web API. It's me saying if you can't find a class, it's the same thing if I do this and say enter. If you can't find this route, just show 404. So Swagger, it's one of the things because it's been disabled. Okay, that's for security purposes. But when I'm working in development mode, I enable by just removing these two guys. That's why the version control comes in, because you cannot commit. That's how you have to check the change that you make before pushing to cloud repositories. You cannot just do things for sake of doing things. They will cost you. Because the moment you forget to, hey, let me undo that, let me continue to comment this line of code, it will be accessible in production and you won't even know that. And we will break into it, because then, remember Swagger, it's a document type of API, like a document to API. We get to see what's expected, what's gonna be a response, like we get to see the goodness. Okay, so why was I talking about that? Now let me close that, because I want to talk about Swagger, how Swagger is being set up in .NET Core, right? Cool. But what I want to get to is this one even protected? Like, if I do Swagger, what's happening? Is it accessible? It says page 444. So let's see. How do I disable this, or how do I get to it? In production, can I get to Swagger in production? That's a very good question. Okay, before I talk about this, let's talk about this class. Not you. This folder called installers, like I said. It's interface. That's the interface. And then it's install extension. Oh, there's spelling issues here. Oh boy. Okay, this is what that was responsible to get all these AutoMapper installer, DB installer, MVC installer, and Swagger installer being registered with just a single line of code. Okay, and then this code, by the way, it's very complicated to figure out. It's very complicated because stuff like export types, I like to learn. I at least I know what an assembly is, but I like to learn what this property does. Well, I know this part, but is assignable from, I need to know what this method does, and then activator dot create instance, where does it come from, system dot activate. I need to know before I can say I know this. So yeah, just know that that's what's happening. It's no. So now let's start with Swagger installer. So this is how you bring Swagger. Okay, so remember we are inheriting from this interface, and then services.add Swagger gen, and this is how we set up version 1. And by the way, I'm still learning how to set this document to show me version 2, version 3. Currently I'm having some issues. And then this is how you the file you do the comments, like include XML comments. So it's a different syntax than that of ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET framework. So this one, it's different. This one, at least I know what's happening here. Okay, we also have AutoMapper, just one line of code. This is how we register AutoMapper globally. We have MVC installer, where we add the controllers, and then we say we're gonna do validation filter. I'll talk about that in later on. And then we add Fluent validations globally, registering globally. We add Razor pages, and then we configure our email settings to be able to send emails from this project. And then we do dependency injection at singleton for that email. Okay, cool. And then the big class DB installer. So do you see all these lines of code? They could have been in here, and then it would have been a mess. Like, it becomes mess and unreadable because you don't know which targets what and all that. So this way, at least I know how clean it is, that if I need to add some add the services to the DI container, dependency injection container, I just come to DB installer. That's it. I hardly tamper with MVC. I hardly tamper because I know it's clean, it's organized in this way. Connection string, and then I just register these guys. And please, you can read, add, transient, and singleton, and scope what they do. Now I know it's your job to figure out what they do. So we are done here. Now we can go back to startup to say, okay, so this is how we make use. Oh, I found my answer. If the environment is in development, then I can have access to Swagger. No wonder why I'm not having access to Swagger in production, because we are not in production. We said if an environment is in development, there's no else here. You see? I'm growing old, but I'm learning at the same time. I'm loving this. And then this handles the 404 page not found home.index, because that's how I design it. Whatever you do, if you just come here, it will be this page. So because this project is not meant to be accessible by the end user, it's not supposed to be known by the end user because it contains some heavy stuff, it's sensitive stuff. A warning I like to give going back to this, because then I confuse myself, because it's 2-in-1 project. When you make some changes, do not just publish the changes whenever you feel like it, because my app is in production, this system is in production. I can't just make some changes. I know I just pushed some new version of this MVC because I just made some changes, and a new version of MVC targeting.NET Core, I just pushed them to the cloud, also republishing to the production server. But I just learned while I was doing that no, this is 2-in-1. So meaning that if I tamper with the MVC portion, the Web API portion gets to be affected, and then maybe the users are busy at that time. So do your stuff in the evening. It's an advice. Please learn from geniuses like us. Use HTTP redirection. Okay, static files, routing, authorization. We don't have authentication, but we do have authorization. And then we have the endpoint where we say the controller, it's gonna be home, and then the index. And now you understand what this class does. Version updates. So in 2020, when I started this project in December, you see 15 December 2021, Tuesday, version 1.0.0.0, added, using the main computer, added an ASP.NET Core Web API project with no authentication. Whoever's going to be paying attention to my version control series is going to be learning a lot of things, and it's going to be learning good stuff. Because having to write a message, having to know what you did goes a long way. Me having designed this system, exactly when was it, the date and everything, I can't just add the time, but it helps a lot. And then the last work I did in 2021, February, the last work, I used the same computer part 1, integrate AutoMapper on the post endpoint of uploads version 2 controller. You see that I was going through a series of AutoMapper, rewriting certain things. So this folder, it disciplines me. Okay, let's go properties. You know what's happening. Profile. If publish profile. If like me, I publish this thing to production, that's how it ended up in here. It ended up in here, you know, because then yeah, but we'll do how to publish some more time. Oh, you can request using hashtag request, and I'll show you www root. I only have favicon. If you see, if I hover, and then we do have the favicon because it's very, very important. This has to do with the Google search engines also. And then I only have a CSS site. That's it. I don't have a crazy stuff because remember, it's a lightweight version of a web application. It's not meant to handle heavy stuff. And for me, if you were to ask me that, would I advise you to do 2-in-1? No, separate them. But I did this because I want to know if it can work, and it does work. But the truth is, you want to separate MVC and then Web API. Okay. So AutoMapper is the same thing, version 1, version 2, because it's a direct replica of ASP.NET Web API in this project. Yeah, but I'm still gonna get to it, the difference between that one and then this one when I do AutoMapper. So when I do AutoMapper, I'll focus in this folder, like what's happening in AV references. Contracts, we know about contracts, version 1, it has API routes. Version 1, we know this, we did this, you know, so these are my routes for mobile app, and then I become specific that this is for mobile app because I can have get the version updates for WPF, since what I do have WPF on board. So but this I'm saying it's meant for mobile application. I can also have a different route for WPF. Maybe WPF has a unique signature, or I don't know, but the point is I'm saying this is mobile. That's how disciplined I am. Okay. And then, like I said, there are requests and then there are responses, the same way that we did in this project. We do have the controllers. So this is a home controller, it doesn't have anything. I allow anonymous, just return. And we're going to talk about this return type, iActionResult, because in ASP.NET Web API targeting.NET framework, it just returns action result, but in Web API it's iActionResult. So it's one of the things to be aware of. So I do have controls for version 1, I do have the controls for version 2, and then when I do something next time it's gonna be version 3. Okay. Models. So we have error request model and error response model. Okay, I know error request model. Oh well, it's okay. Let me explain this. This is gonna be very interesting. Let me use one of the controllers, but before I do that, let's look at one of the validators. So I believe it's in utilities. You'll see helpers. You see, no, it's filters, not validator. Filters, validation filters. Yes, filters. I meant to say filters. So this filter, the same guy from YouTube explained why you want to register filter globally. Okay, this code is too complicated for you, so I'm not gonna try to, get your brain to freeze. Okay, but can you make sense on what's happening here? So it's registered globally. Now it deals with the model state dot is valid. This is very interesting. Check the difference. Why you need to learn these things. Let's go to one of the controllers and I'll show you something. Let's go to access pin. General access pin pins v1. Okay, so this guy, I'll come to it because it deals with post. Okay, HTTP verb. Then let's go to the Web API controller v1, not contract, controllers. Web API general access pin v1. I want to show the difference. So let's bring this guy downstairs. We're gonna look at the post verb. Now, if you look at this guy, what do you see here? Do you see this if not the model state is invalid? That means if the state of the model is invalid, return better request. Do you see this? This guy said it's bad code. You are violating the principle of dry. Dry mean that do not repeat yourself. So in .NET framework, this is how we do it, and we need this check because of what's coming in, the request that's coming in. But in .NET Core, we don't have that, but it's doing the same thing, and I'll prove it. someday when I used Postman, it's on the service or Swagger, that if this request, and you can see the identical, if this request, and this by the way request, it has some required attributes, or some of the properties are marked with required attribute. So let's see. There we go. You see, I'm expecting two things. I'm expecting the business number, I'm expecting access pin, because I know exactly what I did with access pin. It's for mobile application. So now when you are my client, like a client, you need to authenticate yourself using the business number and your access pin. Your access pin you generate on the web application. So because I say these guys are required, it knows how to handle the state of the model. So hence I'm saying, even though there's no if statement, it's handled automatically by this class called the validation filter. Does it make sense? Can I get a thumbs up? Can you please like, subscribe, tell your friends I'm good and that this is good stuff. Okay, now this is repeating yourself. Almost certain things we are repeating ourselves. But the guy said there's a better way of doing it. This is where this class comes in. I hope that makes sense. Good. Now this class, if not the context, model state is invalid or is valid. So this way var errors in model state, they wanna come from context model state where x such as x. Now the value, check if we have the errors, and then if those errors the count is greater than 0, that means there's one error. At least there's an error. If the count is greater than that, now to dictionary, we're going to use a key pair value, right? And we're going to get those errors, and then we're going to use this error message, all right? It's coming from, it's been called MVC model binding model error message, okay, to array. So we're going to have those errors in here. And then var error response. So now I'm using my own custom class. This is why I stopped in this models folder to say I do have this error response model. So this error response model is just a property of type list of error request model. So we have error request model. This is error request model where we need to know which field and what the message is. So the message for which field. So going back to this access pin controller, looking at this class one more time. So this is the field name. So it will come with the error message that this required attribute generates, and we know that it says the business number field is required. You know that this guy has its own built-in error message, but you can do a custom error message. So this is the field name, and this will be the error the message for the field name. Okay, so that's the error request model, right? And then so we're gonna return a list of those what we're gonna initialize, rather. So it's not returning, we're initializing this property using that list of error request model. And like I said, I'm still learning. Now you understand what this class does, right? This response model, and we've seen what the request does. Okay, going back to validation filter. Okay, so we're gonna say for each error in model state, for each error that we find in there, again for each. I never understood this syntax. I feel like it's gonna be expensive for performance. I don't know why, but I know it's possible, but what are the downside of doing this? But you know, okay. And then what we are doing is that, okay, that error request model, we're just gonna say get the key for the field name assigned here, get the item is gonna be the message there, and then you're gonna add them to the errors, you know, and then and then we're gonna return, and then we're gonna go next. We're gonna check and check and check and check until good. This is why we have this class. Okay, we're done with the models. This is why we have this class called validation filter. It's part of the filters. It's registered globally. Okay, that makes sense. Global variables, there are no any sensitive stuff. So this is for fluent validation, and then these are the messages I was talking about. Okay, because these are not custom, based on fluent validation NuGet package. Generate is the same signature where I'm generating the file name. I'm also generating the random verification code, and it works. Now we're done in there. We're done with the helpers. I'll come to app settings. What does it do? Okay, this is for email. We're setting up the email system to send out emails. So yeah, there are no sensitive stuff. If you'd like me to show you how to set this thing up, please give me a shout out, and then I'll using hashtag request, and I'll make a video on that one. But I'll try to come and cover these things. Right now, remember, this is a series of Solution Explorer breaking down this project structure in detail. Okay, so we're done with the utilities. I'll come to a service later on. Validations, like I said, full end validation, v1, v2. So the same access pin, we are validating it, post 1. So when you send, we are validating that to say the business number field, it's a rule 4. We're expecting the length to be 4. Because every business number on my system, it's 4 characters, and then the access pin on my system, it's 6 when it's being generated from the web application. And then these are the error messages. So you understand, but we'll do that, how to set this thing up, how does it work when we test using Swagger or Postman. Stay tuned for that. It's good stuff, you don't want to miss out. So you have to do the same thing for version 2. Like I said, the web API is a versioning system or a versioned system. Views, interesting stuff. I only have this thing, the 404. So if you like to know how I designed this, I'll show you what I did. It has its own custom CSS, but just know it's one view. Like I said, it's not meant to be known by end users. So I'm gonna go back to the last folder called services. How we use depends injection. Okay, Microsoft needs to do something about when we open these views, it should load faster. They need to do something about it. Okay, right, so now let's go back to services. So services again, v1, v2. I want to go to general app access pin. So we do have access pin service. So it returns a task of this entity model. Okay, and then it receives in the request, and then how we making use of that in the implementation of this interface. So we just say, okay, return to see if first or default, if they match, and using AND operator, and then yeah, what does it return? It returns the object. So yeah, but I'll show how this works. So this was a tour of this project web API. I'm doing this thing quicker because I did extensive stuff here, I believe, but I'm still gonna come to a specific functionality or feature in the context of this system. Why the media? Like I said, there's one folder in here, but I don't know why it doesn't want to be tracked. I don't know, but this part of version control is checked in, but the folder is not being sent. I don't know why. Okay, so please, if you'd like me to walk you through this part of the system somewhere where you like me to clarify, but it needs to be in the context of my app, like how does your app do this, on that, then I'll do that, like verification code, how does it generate, where is it being applicable, how do we use that, so yeah, stay tuned for what's coming. I'm gonna do Xamarin now. So for now, I believe I'm done, right? Yeah, we are done. Okay, so now this again is to give somebody some sort of heads up when they want to start a mobile app or a system, or build a system. This thing is not pop and flash. Thank you.